Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I'm your host for the first hour. And today is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're live or listening through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. These tools are gratefully available absolutely free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website, click on the red and white bullseye or the link in the upper left-hand corner of most pages. It says Start Here. It will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Rice's book. His book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? The entire book's available for free to download and read, or if you're really industrious and want a hard copy in your hands, you can go to Amazon and usually find one that's used, that's for sale. They're no longer in print, but there are used copies available. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. That chapter of that book contains a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. It's called the Reality Management Worksheet. And it's a tool that I've been using to great advantage for over 16 years to improve the quality of my life and relationships and manage my emotions and turn any negative emotional state I experience into part of the infallible guidance system that each of us has access to. And if you do that, print off the worksheet that's available as a PDF file absolutely free. Try it out, fill in the blanks. Anytime there's an upsetting situation in your life and an upset that you generate in response to a situation in your life, then give us a call if you have comments or questions. You can also go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness and get access to a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet, an abbreviated version of that worksheet process, and a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. There's also a whole host of audio files available for free download and repeated listening that contain shows just like this one, where people called in and asked questions about this, actually got stepped through the process of doing a worksheet, or asked clarifying questions, or gave testimonials about how the active use of the worksheet has been a tremendous benefit in their life. So if you do that, as we hope you do, then we encourage you to give us a call with your comments and questions. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. And if you call that number and press 1, we can have a conversation. It'll put a little question mark by your phone number, and I'll announce you by your area code. And the other thing we're doing this year is we're working through the Course in Miracles workbook lessons. Today is a 100 and get a little richer. And so we encourage people to do that, explore that website. If you have questions, you can email Jeannie at jeanie@whyagain.org. And or you can email me, good benefit, and I'm grateful for the call to share the testimonial. Is there anything else in specific?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I look in the archives and listen to radio shows sometimes, and I noticed one time, maybe a week ago, the caption in red, Jeannie must have put it in red, on actually 3 of your shows about Patricia Evans' the verbally abusive relationship. And so that caught my eye because I had worked with Patricia Evans on a marriage I was in for 10 years, and I got every one of her books. I didn't have the mind energy to even absorb what she was saying, but I knew how bad I felt in this relationship. And I listened to your podcast, and I'm like, wow, this is so amazing. And so, my book is right there, the verbally abusive relationship in my other room, and I picked it up. I haven't picked it up since I since I divorced my ex-husband in 2017, and Patricia Evans helped me in every way, shape, and form. She was the one that told me that on an average, the partner that's doing the verbal abuse usually lists the partner that's in a relationship with a verbally abusive person list, all of these statements that they'd heard throughout the relationship. And she said there's normally 50 is a large amount. She said you had 500. I'm thinking, is 500 bad? I just didn't want to face it. And
to the world, but wait in silence for the word of the Creator. Hear the Creator speak. Its voice would give to you its holy word to spread across the world the tidings of salvation and the holy time of peace. We gather at the place of creation today, the quiet place where within the mind creation abides forever, and in the wholeness that creation created and will never leave. Creation does not wait until your return to your mind to Him to give its word to you. Creation has not hidden itself from you while you have wandered off a little while from it. It does not cherish the illusions which you hold about yourself. It knows its offspring, and it wills that he and she remain as part of it, regardless of its dreams, regardless of his or her madness, that his or her will be done rather than the will of creation. Today, creation speaks to you. 3 times today, at times most suitable for silence, give 10 minutes set apart for listening to the word of the Creator. It is your voice to which you listen as creation speaks to you. It is your word He speaks. It is the word of freedom and peace, of unity of will and purpose, with no separation nor division in the single mind of the Creator and its offspring. In quiet, listen to your higher self today, and let it tell you creation has never left its offspring, and you have never left your true self. Only be quiet. You will need no rule but this to let your practicing today lift you above the thinking of the world and free your vision from the body's eyes. Only be still and listen. You will hear the words, the true word, in which the will of creation and its offspring joins the will of the Father and are at one with it, with no illusions interposed between the holy, indivisible, and true. As every hour passes by today, be still a moment and remind yourself you have a special purpose for this day, in quiet, to receive the word of creation, to receive the word of love. In quiet, I receive love's word today. And we're also working through Pam Grout's book, The Course in Miracles Experiment. And her chapter 25 is titled, Invincible Mario, Here I Come. She quotes Koji Kondi, co-creator of Super Mario Brothers, who said, we were trying to create something that had never been done before. Pam writes, if I remain eye to eye with a problem, I will continue to fight it. If I stubbornly refuse to budge from the level of my alleged difficulty, we, both the difficulty and me, will continue knocking the living daylights out of each other. In Lesson 125, in quiet, I receive love's word today. I learned to resolve my issues with a different approach. Instead of staring down my own issues, I channel Nintendo's Super Mario, who completes his mission, for example, are beyond my eyes' capabilities. So for me to think that I see, in quotes, to remind myself of my worthiness and my value simply because the Creator has put the breath of life in me, and the application of the tools that help me dismantle and see the false nature of every negative conclusion about myself, then things start to move. And my experience of life changes beyond what words can describe each new heartbeat. And that's what I would suggest you step into.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to listen to this podcast many, 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 many times, because this is more enlightening than where I was coming from, and I'm ready for it, and I really want to. I feel like I want to say I really want to get this, but then that's probably not just letting go, and it's me trying to figure it out again. You know, but no, it was very helpful what you shared. So thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome, and deserving, far more deserving than you yet realize, but that too shall come.
Thank you very much.
All right. Blessings. Thank you for the call. So we have 15 minutes left. Our call-in number is 563-999-3581. We have 13 callers on the board, and we have one person in the chat room. How can we support you? What would be of use? What would be most useful for you to have us discuss or question, or what's a suggestion you have for us? Today's a Wednesday, so we've got shows again. It's available at mindshiftersacademy.org. And I like to remind people that there's separate login information for Tuesday and Thursday groups. We have had people that have tried to log in on the wrong day.
I was just wanting to get some help in coming up with the goal, because I got stuck there, and maybe it's because it wasn't a real life situation, so it never really played all the way out, or I don't know. But I just feel like I need some help in constructing the goal of this worksheet.
Okay, well, so what's the emotion that you were aware of after the nightmare?
Devastating guilt.
Okay, so if nothing else, I mean, if you can get clear about the thought that is, you know, I'm taking a breath and backing up here for a minute, because this topic has come up a number of times on the show over the years. It's a topic of a lot of debate for people, and I just want to say before I get into this, my interest in this is to be of service. And there are many different ways to approach this. The most useful for me over the years is to approach it as though guilt is a thought or a constellation of negative thoughts about myself. And when I have the thought that I'm guilty, I did something bad or wrong, sometimes I generate with those thoughts an emotion of sadness. Sometimes I generate an emotion of emotional hurt. Sometimes I generate an emotion of anger at myself or someone else. So to begin there, it's okay if you want to do this worksheet where the emotion isn't, in order for this to get better or for me to be able to move past this or enjoy my time in Tennessee without this. And then understand that the only way for me to get access to the part of my mind that's actually creating all of this upset and frustration is to cancel the goal I have for this person or this situation or for myself in this particular case. And then work through the worksheet process and ask to be shown the hidden part of your mind. So that's where I would begin. And it might be that, this person or this dynamic, this situation you're in really is in the wrong, that the other person is really doing something that's illegal or immoral or rude or insulting. But if I don't clear up the negative emotional energies in me before I decide how to respond to that situation or that person, I'm never going to see it clearly enough to add an energy which will be productive, and I'll never move through it in a way that leaves me feeling better.
Okay. Whew, I'm going to work on that. Thank you.
Well, and, one of the things that happens to us as we do work like this, and I know from your calls over the years that you are working at this stuff. You are working on yourself. You're working on your fears. You're working on your irritations. You're working on the unproductive relationship patterns from your past. And one of the things that happens to all of us on this path as we're working is, and this is, it's woven into the Way of Mastery where it says in the 5th lesson, here are the keys to the kingdom. And it says, if you do these first 4 keys, your life is going to get better. You're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to reap the benefits of being in a better position in your life and relationships. And that's why the 5th key is so necessary. The 5th key is humility. Because if I don't recognize that I didn't even create myself and I don't know when I was created, the temptation is going to be there increasingly for me to take credit for how much better my life is going, for me to think, well, I can't be creating this upset because I've really done a lot of work on myself, and I'm really very spiritual, and I'm very forgiving for most people, but this son of a gun, right, this situation, and so this might be one of the places where, because you've hit a new level of vitality, you've moved from one state to another, there's so much good there for you, and you might be thinking, wow, this is great. My life's going to be moving forward, and so your vitality gets raised to a new level, and then your unconscious says, oh, good, Cindy, now you can get rid of some of this deeper trauma that you didn't have the vitality to process out before. And here comes a life situation, or here comes a person, or here comes an internal dynamic within yourself that you haven't been aware of maybe for decades, maybe for weeks or months, and you get triggered, and if you fall into the trap of trying to figure it out, or you fall into the trap of thinking, well, this can't be mine because I've done all this work, then you get stuck.
Okay, that makes sense, and I've caught myself in the past few days getting stuck, getting triggered, and falling into old patterns. And then I found that I was just being hard on myself about it and just kind of like frustrated and disgusted with myself. But then I was able to tap through that, and that lessened. So that was good. But yeah, I'm just going to keep working with it and keep canceling goals for the situation I'm in, and I just have to put my big girl pants on and deal with it.
Well, and as I dismantle the anger, the fear, the frustration, the hurt and resentment that comes up in my system, from taking 100% responsibility for all of it, whether I'm doing the reality management worksheet or I'm doing a targeted journaling exercise that Michael calls the mind shifter, the more I clear that stuff out of my system and my immediate consciousness, the broader and the clearer is the picture that I get shown about my current situation and my role in it. And then I've got all kinds of different ways to intervene and move forward. So it might be that there's something significant that someone down there or someone in your life or someone, back here is doing that is unacceptable, that doesn't fit your values and your ethics and your morals and your priorities, and you may need to either step away from them or you may need to hold them accountable. However, if you try and do that from a perspective where your anger is up or your frustration is up or your fear or your hurt is up, it's not going to go well.
Yes. I have been working with things, and I see my role in what has been going on. The thing that concerns me is that there's a lot of money involved, and that is, I think, the most pressing thing, like the most concerning to me. So I'm going to have to work with that and see how I can work through that aspect of it.
Well, and do all of the emotional work around the money, right? So how many times in your life has money been an issue for which there's been a lot of intense emotions? And so, if it's happening again, whether, like a lot of people, the vast majority of people in our culture, the way it is with the division of wealth, et cetera, the vast majority of people are struggling to make enough to pay the bills and or to live independently and or to be, have that feeling of safety and security or to have everything they want. And so we attach a lot of beliefs and therefore emotions to that dynamic of our career and our income and our savings and our stability. So the first thing to do is identify the emotions you're feeling around it and clear those up before you make a decision about how to proceed.
Okay. Yes, I'm going to work with that. Thank you.
All right. Anything else we can do to support you today?
No, I think that is good. I'm going to work with those things and see what comes up for me.
All right. Well, it's good to hear your voice again. Congratulations on the move, and I'll look forward to updates as you see fit to share them.
Okay, thank you.
All right, blessings. Area code 480, you're in the air. Who do we have?
Oh, yes.
Area...
Hi. Tim, can you
Hi,
hear me?
who do we have?
This is Cecilia.
Well, hello,
Cecilia.
How are you?
Hey. It's like I can't. I want to put a word to it. I'm amazed at how this work is healing a tooth issue. Okay, let's just put that. So yeah, and I'm doing all these worksheets on it, and I thought yesterday, which I'm not an allopathic person in any way, shape, or form, that I don't know what I'm going to do, and I cancel the thought. I had to keep canceling the thought that I was going to have to do allopathic work. And I woke up this morning, and there's no pain. There is swelling on the part of my space between my bottom of my nostrils and the top of my lips. Not a lot, but it's not. But it feels like it's moving out. The energy is moving out. So what I want to say is, because Jeannie helped me with the worksheet, not on this, but on honoring and respecting myself, I realized that I wasn't 99.9% of my life, I was not looking after myself. I was not getting my teeth into things. I was not, this is all metaphysical related to the teeth. I was not getting a grip on my life. Everything was just the opposite of that. And now that I'm doing the worksheets, I did a worksheet on my keys. I can't even tell you what a difference night and day it is with my keys. The issue came up 3 days ago. I did a worksheet for 3 days now. And this morning I woke up and I don't even, it's like remnants of it still leaving. And I really, truly believe in the energy, the medicine of energy, okay? This is I am experiencing it firsthand, how this is the way to go for me. And I just wanted to say thanks for holding a space for me to learn this. And I'm just really grateful. I just wanted to share that with your work.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. I'm glad it's working so well for you. And if you're like most of us, you want to keep doing that work, and you want to make the best use possible of whatever the allopathic medical world can give you. So there are times when, if you have an infection, you might be able to use natural substances that are antiseptic and antibiotic and work through it. But there might also be times when you'd be better served taking an antibiotic and letting that be part of the healing work you're doing with the worksheets and the forgiveness work and the reality management worksheets, the targeted journaling that Michael calls the mind shifter, and the breath work and the EFT tapping. All of these things can work together beautifully with what traditional medicine, or not traditional, but our conventional medicine would offer. So I'm glad you're finding...
Anyway, the good news is, thank you for bringing it up. It's a horrible, debilitating situation, and I just, it's bringing up more stuff that I'm dealing with it again, but I can deal with it now. And what I want to say...
So breathe. Okay, breathe.
Okay. I didn't understand it. I don't understand, though, how I could have come from reality 1 and gone to reality 2 to have the empathy. And I thought I had it for him, but I didn't have a witness when I was a child, and I was verbally abused for my whole life. Never, ever told anything nice. And that's why I thought we would make a good match, and that's why I got involved with him. But he, no. And I'm beginning to understand what happened. It's like a nightmare reading that book right now. I mean, a good nightmare that I'm working through some things now that I can. But I'm just saying that the list that she had me write of all these things, it was a contract, okay? And I had written down all this paper, and she said, do it in front of the lawyer and yada, 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 and say these things on a tape to him and read your contract. And I did. I said, it's not okay for you to define my body, and you're not allowed to tell me who I am, and yada, yada, yada. And there were so many lists of things that he said that I was reading out loud. According to her, I needed to do that because I felt safe doing it with a lawyer there. Anyway, never criticized me, and I mean, these are responses. I didn't even get to the book about the responses even to this day, but I didn't have the ability to at that time, so I thought to speak up. And as Jeannie and Michael are helping me through, that's a huge, like a core issue in my life. And so I honor and respect what I'm saying now, and I honor and respect my life now with the help of the worksheets that I've been doing with Jeannie and Michael. And so I could say these things, but also with Michael's mind shifter, I realized that these are things I need to say to myself, which is honor and respect my body, honor and respect what I say. You know, I mean, so I mean, that was in a codependent video that I watched that said to do that with everything that you advise to give to somebody else. So with the 500 things that I wrote down that I was told that were verbally abusive, throughout the 10 years of being with him, I'm going to get that list out now, and I'm going to read those things, and I'm going to reword it into honor me here, honor who I am, honor, you know, and put it in positive terms instead of she had me put it in like, don't you ever say
right.
that I'm
so take a breath. Take a breath,
yeah.
Celia.
Yeah.
And let me explain for the people listening that, and when I ask you to take a breath, you don't have to, but it would really be beneficial if you take a nice deep breath, hold it at the top for a second or two, and then resist the exhale so it's 4 to 8 times longer. So breathe gently, slowly, as I mentioned this. You're talking about using one of Michael's tools, which is the knowledge about regulatory speech. And regulatory speech has 2, all my fault, etc. There's a part of my mind that gets programmed by that thought or that statement and programmed into believing it. So there's a part of my speech which regulates, which programs my mind to believe what I think over and over again. There's another part of my speech that is a revelation to me of what's being hidden in my mind, in my subconscious and unconscious. And if I learn to listen to my speech and understand that it will always reveal to me what's truly in my belief system, then I can use it to decide what my next piece of work might need to be. So the regulatory speech that you're talking about would call me to say, if I have somebody who is being verbally abusive to me, and I talk to them about their verbal abuse to me, and I keep talking about how they're insulting me and they're hurting me, I program my mind to believe that they really are hurting me and that is really an outside force creating my emotions. And I'm focusing on all those things I don't want and adding energy to them. So in this work, we know it's far more beneficial for me to speak of and focus on what I do want. I want you to speak to me lovingly, gently, and with respect. I want you to honor your commitments. I want you to, and so I'm focusing on the things I want. I'm adding my mind energy to the positive things, and that is much more beneficial in the energetic exchange, and in the long run in my life, I'll see benefits. So that's what you're talking about doing if you rewrite those statements or if you rewrite that contract that you were talking about from the positive perspective. It might be beneficial that way. It'll at least help you keep your mind energy on what you want to create and isolate the energy that you've been focusing on, all those things you didn't like and that you don't want to have continue. So, how are you feeling? What's the breath work doing, and what else can we support you with today?
The breath work is very helping a lot because I can get into the story in my head and it replays and loops and loops and loops, and I don't usually hear what anybody else is saying. But I've been doing the breath work. It's calming. It's very nice. It's very peaceful, and I'm going to get more accustomed to that space of holding that space for myself and for other people.
So is there something specifically that we can support you with today?
with the verbally abusive thing, I also want to ask you if you're hearing that I believe that he was a mirror for all the 500 things that I've been told my whole life. He said every one of them. So he mirrored them to me at the same time, because I did not come from reality 2, which means that somebody acknowledged my abuse and witnessed and acknowledged that I wasn't making it up growing up. I never got that. He never got that for his abuse. But he seemed to stay in reality 1. I was not in reality 2, although I had compassion for others. I just didn't have it for myself, which meant that I didn't have it at all because, it was so what I'm trying to say is I believe that the law, I don't go into the law of attraction unless it's the way Michael Rice and you explain it, but I did attract him so that I could heal the stuff that I heard him say, which was really what I said, and I was programmed in my mind to believe was true about me.
Okay, and what I talk to people about with that is, rather than saying I attracted this into my life, just acknowledge that if this arrives in my life, how I choose to interpret it and choose to respond to it is going to be far more powerful in creating my experience of life than anything else. So, I don't know the truth of, am I attracting this? Is this some, guardian angel or guide that's giving me this experience so I can learn this or that lesson? I don't know the absolute truth of any of that. What I do know from my own experience is how I choose to interpret and respond to those events is far more powerful in my creation of experience than the actual event. So if I say, hey, I woke up and I realized I was in an abusive pattern in a relationship. I woke up and realized I've got someone who insults me and who blames me for things and who treats me in a very abusive pattern. And then I wake up another level and say, oh my gosh, this is what I grew up with. I was raised by people who were so wounded that they couldn't acknowledge the strength and the beauty in the people around them because they were so insecure and so wounded themselves. Oh, well, now I've got these 2 places in my life, and then because I've awakened, I've awoken to experience this, and then I have the luck of coming across some tools, whether it's Byron Katie's work or Ho'oponopono or the Sedona release method or the Christian Science work, and I can actually step into a 2-prong approach that has me reminding myself that I am a miracle of life expressing in form. I am a miracle as the creative force keeps my heart beating and digests my food and keeps my lungs breathing when I'm not even thinking about it. So I focus on that good. I focus on the truth of the miracle of life expressing in, through, as, and around me. And then I also focus on the negative thoughts and traumatic energies and patterns of interaction that I've downloaded over the years. And I apply specific tools, not designed to figure it out, but just apply the tool and go through the process. And in this work, Michael has seen the ancient Aramaic work, and the Course in Miracles talks about the need to cancel everything I think I want and ask to be shown something else. And if I'm willing to engage in that, I can turn whatever comes at me in life, whether I drew it to me or I attracted it or I have to face it because of karma. All of those things don't seem to add up to something useful in my mind, because if it's here, I just want to deal with it. I don't necessarily want to look at the theory about who's responsible for it being here and have great philosophical discussions about that, except on my vacation. But if I wake up and realize that that pattern is here and I'm in it in my life, and I just start using that two-prong approach. Tomorrow and Friday, we've got another support group coming up tomorrow night. We had a support group last night. Somebody did a very powerful worksheet in the beginning of that group, and then there was some very deep discussion about all of the changes and adaptations that each of us are called to make in a year like this, where the coronavirus restrictions are requiring adjustments to our schedules and our emotional lives. And so we have time to discuss some of that if you're interested, or you can suggest a completely different topic. Call-in number is 563-999-3581. And I saw that Matt Kahn, who is someone that we have brought into the support group a number of times and listened to some of his lectures, and he has books like Whatever Arises, Love That, and book titles like Everything is Here to Support You. And I noticed that he was giving a talk with one of my favorite topics as the title, and that is being gentle with yourself. And if you've listened to the podcast or any of my support groups, you'll hear that on a frequent basis. It is so counterproductive for me to beat myself up. It's okay for me to acknowledge that I've made an error, but that's not the same as creating a negative judgment about it and the negative emotions that go with that negative judgment. Area code 484, is this Ellen?
Yes, it is. Hi, Dr. Tim.
Welcome. How can we support you today? What's your offering?
Well, I don't really have an offering.
Share that with us on the show, but in the line 1D where it says my thoughts create my emotions, then just specifically write out my thought is I'm guilty of this.
Right. Okay.
And that's what's generating my emotion of sadness or my emotion of hurt or my emotion of anger at myself. Right?
Right.
And so then if it comes to it, if I've got a specific thought, like let's say, I'm guilty of raging at someone who was innocent. Let's say that that's my thought. I'm guilty of raging at someone who was innocent, and I caused them great harm. That's my thought. Now, when I think that, I have deep sadness. So my emotion in the worksheet is sadness. What happens 1C is me. What happened was I raged at somebody that didn't deserve it. And my thought is I raged at them when they didn't deserve it, and I've caused them great harm. Now, what would my goal be? For the most effective worksheets, I want my goal to line up with the trigger 1C. So the goal in this worksheet would be for me to have done something differently, to control my anger, to be an allowance, be an acceptance, to treat people lovingly. It could be any of those goals. Now, if I have a nightmare that leaves me feeling agitated, sad, scared, and hurt, and I don't really know why, I don't have the specifics of the nightmare, I just woke up in a night terror and shaking, I can still do a worksheet on it where I say, I, Tim, who am love, I'm feeling this terror, this shakiness, this fear. And what happened, I had a nightmare, I don't remember the specifics, and what's my thought? My thought is, in this case, it might be the same as the goal. I want to feel calm, I want to feel safe, I want to feel better. And then the goal is, I want to feel better. And just cancel that thought and goal and see what my mind serves up. And then as I do that, I'm opening myself to be shown a different part of my mind.
Okay, I got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So So if I have specifics from the dream, I can fill out the worksheet as though the dream was an actual thing that happened, where I remember what I did, I remember what I said, I remember the emotions on awaking, and I can, do the worksheet as though, my thought is that when I ran through that mall and shot all those people, it's caused devastation. And that's why I'm feeling this sadness and guilt. And then, and it never happened, but it was in my dream. And then the goal is for me to always respect people and, be somebody who helps people. And then I can cancel that goal and cancel that thought and see what happens. What part of my mind gets revealed.
Or couldn't the goal, even if you remember what happened in the dream, to recognize your innocence?
Sure. Yeah.
As opposed
your goal,
to something that happened in the dream.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I think we're getting caught up in the specifics.
Well, the beauty of the worksheet is you can do an infinite number of them, right? So so do them in the way that you think might be all screwed up, and if Dr. Tim or Michael Rice saw this, they'd say I'm doing it all wrong. Do it that way. You're not going to hurt anybody. And then
right.
Do it the way that you think that would be the perfect way, and you won't hurt anybody, and you just cancel the goal, breathe and relax, ask to be shown, have a loving thought about yourself, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again.
Yeah. I just find it amazing that we, this self-condemnation that I find myself doing, even I truly believe we're all actually innocent, and that the things that we do should never be judged or condemned, and yet even in a dream, which a night dream, which clearly didn't happen.
and yet it is still clearly reflecting content of your own mind.
Right.
So at some level, you think consciously, logically, that we're all innocent. At that same time, there's a part of you that's filled with the programming of your family life, your interaction with friends, and your interactions with your culture that hold a different belief.
Yeah. I just find that amazing that I can hold two, opposite beliefs like that. And, but, it's good to understand that and to work on, the ones that are unconscious, because obviously they're unconscious. You can't do anything about them.
Well, but as soon as they are the strongest resonant energy in your system, they will start to drive your behavior, especially if you're not aware of them. So you can watch the behavior and see that it is in conflict with what you consciously believe, and instantly know, oh, my unconscious is active. Let me use some tools to get in touch with, become aware of, and dismantle that false energy.
Yeah, because I keep catching myself, beating myself up when I forget something. And then I go, wait a minute, well, if I forgot it, then I was obviously meant to forget it. And I have to keep catching myself doing it first. And so that's clearly, and that's what this dream is all about, devastating consequences of having forgotten something. So, yeah, I guess that's the thing right now for me to work on. It's the way I beat myself up over being forgetful. Mm-hmm.
that could be a very fruitful set of worksheets.
Yeah. Okay. But now I think I can move forward with the worksheet because I got stuck on the goal, and I think I was just making it too specific. And it always works better for me when I don't get too specific, because then I'm too narrow in even like the outcome of it, where it takes me.
Yeah, and a lot of people struggle with it because they put off working through the worksheet all the way through, or even picking it up, because they're stuck in the thought pattern that says they're going to do it wrong. And that's the great thing about this. You know, you can't really do it wrong. You might end up doing it longer than you need to, but it's perfectly safe to just do worksheet after worksheet. It's also safe, and we had somebody in the support group last night, and it's also safe to put the worksheets away and say, you know what, they're not working for me. The more worksheets I do, the more upset I get. Okay, then try another approach. There are many people out there who are offering things that have at their core a similar dynamic. How do we know? Because they work. And anything that truly works is going to be very similar to anything else that truly works. But you can just get into the deep practice of Ho'oponopono, or Byron Katie's work, or the Sedona release method, or Martha Creek's work out of Unity, or practice the 4 agreements, and do the EFT tapping in conjunction with any of those. And if it's working for you with what you're doing, keep doing it. If it's not, feel free to just move on, find something else, and just keep pursuing that peace.
Freedom.
Yeah, that comfort, that awareness of your true nature that is, beyond words good. So I realize we've expired our time, so thank you so much, Ellen, for the call.
Well, thank you,
for
Dr.
being
Tim.
here. You're welcome. Blessings. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Rice.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. And welcome, everybody, to the second hour. Oh,
I just thought I'd let you know. I don't know if yes, I can hear you, but I thought I'd let you know before I go that we had a call from Cindy that was, I don't know, it was not just a 2-minute call, and then we had a call from Celinda, and then one from Ellen. So if you wanted to make the notes about that, there was some processing with Celinda, and some processing with Cindy, and some processing with Ellen, all in today's call.
Awesome.
And I'll bid you adieu.
Okay, thank you.